Hello folks, Ryan here with Natural Aquariums, and today we're going to set up the 20-gallon long. If you didn't see our previous video, my son and we painted this background. We went with kind of a darker blue, so you can see that in the background now. That's painted on the back of the tank, so check that video out if you want to see how to do that, or if you're interested in that at all, if you haven't seen it. So kind of the next step here is we've cleaned out the tank. Gonna put some substrate into it. Got this ADA aqua soil Amazonia for Christmas. Santa was nice to me. And then we got just a little bit of leftover substrate. I'm not sure if this is gonna be quite enough. I like to do a deeper bed if I can, but this ADA aqua soil is not cheap, so probably gonna supplement it with a little bit of this, which, if I remember correctly, it's pretty dark in there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little bit of fluval stratum, some black sand, and some Eco Complete black, just kind of mixed up. From there, we're gonna work on a tiny little hardscape. Just got a couple little pieces of dragonstone here. I'm gonna go for kind of a modified iwagumi setup, and then put some plants in there. So I just got 3 of each of glossostigma. So glosso will go in the front, and then limnophilia aromatica in the back. If you're not familiar with these plants, stay tuned, check them out, and you'll see them then. Thanks, and we'll check in with you a second here.
I can't forget the day we met. Your eyes so blue, me piercing through. I can't forget the day we met. Your smile so bright, it made me swoon. Our love is like a summer's day, hot and endless in a magic way. Whenever I see you, all I can think is my summer love. Been waiting for you, my love. My summer love. Been waiting for you, my love. I can't forget the day we met. You looked so fly in your red Corvette. Your hair, your look, your everything. When I see it all, I knew that you were mine. I'm in love with your hair, your lips, your silhouette in the moonlight shine. With my love you won't ever be alone. My summer love, been waiting for you, my love. Completely a fool, been waiting for you, my love. Head over heels, I'm blinded by what I feel. My love is forever yours. You have my heart, you have my soul. You have my whole, you have my control. Love me tender, love me sweet. With you I know that I'm complete. I'm in love with the summer's day. For you I'd give my life away. Never leave me, never let me go. My summer love, been waiting for you, my love. My summer love, been waiting for you, my love. My love is forever yours. Forever yours, my love is forever yours.
All right, so I got the soil in there. I did use that extra soil that I had. As you can see, I just put that down as kind of a base layer. Try to move it towards the back to build some height in the back. I got it sloped pretty heavy now. I poured in the ADA aqua soil, and yeah, just try to slope it up towards the back there and create some perception of depth in the aquascape. So now it's time to grab those rocks play around with those, see if I can find an arrangement I like out of 2 or 3 or 4 of those. A lot of times people say it's good to use 3 rocks, 2 rocks on one side, 1 rock on the other, but just got to get in there, play around with things, see how it works out. So we'll check back when I got something I find is halfway decent. So after maybe a few minutes of messing around with these 4 rocks, this is kind of what I've come up with. We have 2 rocks here on the left side, just kind of butted up to each other. I figured in the future, if I wanted to, I could put some sort of plant in between these 2 rocks. Lots of different things you could do there. Feel free to suggest any plants you might think would look good in that area between those rocks. And then I've got this one taller rock over here on this side. And then I just used the tiny rock. You can kind of see it sticking out there, just to kind of help prop that up. So I think that's what we're going to go with. I'm going to put some water in here. Just a little bit of water, actually. We're going to start this with a dry start method. I've done this before with the glossostigma. It works good for glosso. If you start to see any mildew or mold or anything, I just go ahead and flood it, and then we'll actually be using CO2 on this tank, which is definitely recommended, especially for the Limnophilia aromatica. Glossostigma certainly benefits from it as well. So we'll check back in after probably quite a while of me pulling apart little stems of plants and planting it in here. A lot of times it doesn't look so hot right after you do that, but we'll check in anyways and see where I've gotten, and go from there. So I added the water, got the substrate nice and moist and damp, wet. You don't want it too wet. Like over here in this area, there's a little bit of pooling water. I'm not real concerned about that. I only got so much plant, so I'm not sure how much coverage rate I'm going to have anyways. It's best to start out with a ton of plants, but you got a budget to keep in mind as well. So once again, I'm going to get working on dividing up all these plants and plugging them in, and we'll check back later. So I figured we'd start with the aromatica. I got 3 bunches of these here, so I'm just going to start separating them out. See how many stems we got. Remove anything that might be nasty. Probably give them a little rinse too. Help from introducing things we don't want. But there's one there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that one. Another 1. 2, 3, 4, 5 stems in that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that one. So about 5, 6 stems in each. What's that? 16 overall. So just kind of put those across the back and check back in. All right, so the easy part is done. Got the aromatica planted in there. 16 stems, real quick. Like I said, I think I mentioned this earlier in the video. I've never done a dry start method with a stem plant that's this tall, so we'll see how things go. But at the first sign of trouble, I usually just or what I've done in the past is just flood the tank and then change it from the dry start method to just full on wet and working on converting the plant. So I'll get to working on the hard part, that glosso, and see you soon. All right, so we got all the glosso planted in the foreground and a little bit in between the rocks and up around the sides of the rocks. And now it's just kind of a waiting game, monitoring, making sure there's the right level of humidity in there. I have a little preset heater that I'll probably drop in there, just kind of help create a moist environment in there with lots of condensation and just want to keep the level of moisture right so we don't run into any mildew or mold or anything. Planting the glosso, it really wasn't that bad at all. It was in some pots and some rock wool. Pull apart the rock wool. We'll separate each stem for the most part. Some stems you can break up even a little bit to create more stems and plant them one by one. Not sure exactly how long it took, but I'm guessing it was probably only 20 minutes or so. Thanks for checking out my video. Stay tuned, subscribe. Hopefully there'll be another update on this tank soon when we flood it and introduce some sort of livestock. Once again, I think I mentioned before that I'm going to put CO2 on this tank once I do flood it. It's something that I think is necessary with these plants. Not my favorite thing to do, but I really love that Limnophilia aromatica. I've also had success with the glossostigma before. It'll be interesting to see how high or how low that glosso grows and how much of those rocks still stand out, and what this ends up looking like. Thanks for watching, and you guys have yourself a good one. Bye.